ideals of human freedom. Bless them, all veterans, and the thousands of martyred dead who laid down their lives on the battlefields of the world. Grant that we, remembering the valor of our comrades, may prove ourselves mindful and worthy of their blood, which is the price of our freedom. That freedom which is the fruit of vigilance, toil, and sacrifice. To those who have made the supreme sacrifice, grant eternal rest. To their bereaved families, grant comfort and strength. To our sick and wounded, restored health. To our President and all lawful authorities over us, give thy wisdom and guidance. To our National Commander and President, the officers and members of the American Legion and the Auxiliary, the spirit of sacrificing service. To each of us and to all our fellow citizens, the sense of dedication and consecration to thee and our beloved country, that we may honor her traditions, preserve her integrity, guard her against all enemies, and keep her a bulwark of freedom and justice, a beacon of love and hope, piercing the darkness to light the way to a world of peace. And Lord, we ask you to bless these foods that we're going to receive, the blood body, through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Can I have your attention now, please? I think most of us are pretty well done eating, so I think we'll get on with our program for this evening. First of all, I'd like to thank Donna Frank and her crew for the delicious supper, and the auxiliary for bringing in the fine vegetables and bars and everything else that we have here. I'd like to give them a round of applause at this time. We thank you from the bottom of our stomachs. At this time, I guess I'm supposed to say a few words, and I want to welcome everyone that's here. At this time, I'd like to welcome all Legionnaires, auxiliary members, distinguished guests, to our Veterans Day dinner. It's good to see as many of you turn out as what came. I wish there was a few more, and show your patriotism on this day and support for the club. Remember, our club is only as good as our members, and we need all your support. We have a beautiful club, one that we sure can be truly proud of. We are also building an addition onto this end of the building, which is going to give us more room. In conjunction with our dinner this evening, the Post and Auxiliary scheduled a program at the high school this morning and also at junior high this afternoon. This was the first one that I attended, and I must say I was very impressed. It's good to see how the young people respond and show their respect for patriotism. They know this is still the best country to live in, and right now, with all the problems out in the Middle East, it's getting pretty scary. But we have to stand behind our military. Veterans Day this year is a mixture of pride, uncertainty, and sadness. Anyway, if you have any chance next year to witness this program at the high school, I encourage as many of you as to do so. I also would like to thank Gordy Olson, who directed the program at the high school and did a great job. I'd like to give him a round of applause. Thank you, Gordy. At this time, I'd like to introduce our head table, starting over on my left. Auxiliary Chairwoman of Americanism, Eileen Bergeron. Eileen. Post-Americanism Chairman, Ernie Bergeron. Our County Council Commander, Howard Carsons. Auxiliary Chaplain, Dorothy Carsons. Terry Bukowski, our 6th District Educational Chairwoman and also Auxiliary Secretary. Our Auxiliary President, Mary Horn. My wife, Betty Hennon. I am filling in for Gary, our President. He is absent, he couldn't be with us tonight, so I'm filling in for him. For you that do not know me, my name is Tom Hennon. Our post chaplain is Omer Sieben. Our 6th District Americanism Chairman, Willie Mittendorf. His wife, Dorothy Mittendorf. Our renowned Senator, Senator Joe Bertram. Mayor of the City of Melrose, the Honorable Alan Horn. And since Gary isn't here, we have the better half of the family, the good-looking one, I was told, Sandy Kenyon, President of the VFW Auxiliary, Isabel Murphy, and VFW Commander, George Murphy. I thank you. I don't know how many of you have read your Legionnaire magazine, the one that comes out every month. But I was reading it here the other day, and I noticed they referred to Dick Horn, our 6th District Finance Officer, as Dick Corn. So at this time, I would like to introduce to you our Auxiliary President, Mary Horn. Mary Horn.
I'd like to thank all of you for coming. We're impressed with the turnout because, as you know, we eliminated our calling list for the auxiliary, and we're kind of experimenting to see what kind of turnout we have for our potluck, and I think the turnout is excellent. Thank you, ladies, so much for bringing the beautiful salads and bars and relishes and everything else, and hot vegetables. Thanks so much. Mine can be very short, huh? And I would also like to recognize at this time the decorating committee for the fine job they've done. It was Marlene Clausen, Ann Peters, Mary Spanier, and Lynn Popaki. Would you please give them a round of applause? They did such an excellent job last year. We kind of cornered them in on it this year again. You better watch out, you might have it again next year. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, Mary. I would like to next to call on our 6th District Americanism Chairman for a few words, Willie Mittendorf. You caught me off guard. Tom. Anyway, Tom did thank Gordy, and I think we should also extend thank you for AJ for the fine program we had at the schools today. I was thinking of what I would say. I was asked to speak a few minutes this evening, and I was thinking of what I should say. And I have a canned speech here that I don't like to use. So I picked up the St. Cloud Times this evening, and I want to share something with you that I read. VA hospital veteran expresses anger, pride. Even the beauty of the national anthem couldn't take away the cruel reminder of war Sunday the veterans
Administration Medical Center at St. Cloud. In back of the auditorium filled with flags, patriotism sat a bitter man in a chair with wheels. He was in pajamas, ugly foam coated his ankles, and at least one tube came from his side. His legs had thinned to the size of a child's. At one point, he looked to have tears in his eyes. He said he was a veteran, a patient, but he didn't want to talk about it. A few moments later, he growled, "We're not a bunch of inexperienced animals." A friend soon took him from the building after the short ceremony that included a parade, some songs, a speech from a Korean War veteran. That veteran became almost hostile as he delivered a disjointed and furry message. God and the veterans are forgotten when the fighting is over, he said, and veterans shouldn't let that happen anymore. Even if it's only a letter to a congressman, they must fight to keep the benefits that they deserve. Callous is the way vets are being treated, but perhaps now it's time for a comeback. He called the veterans a selfish group, a selfless group that has given when asked to give. Perhaps we should make it a point to visit a vet this year, he said. Well, without them, there would be no Constitution. Without them, there would be no United States. Pfeiffer's words inspired Ernie Polk, a Vietnam veteran, a patient at the medical center, called the speech inspiring and said it reminded him of his father. It makes me feel good. To be an American, he said, of Veterans Day, even the racism and the prejudice in this country today is still the best nation on earth, Pope said. Being a black American, I am a proud American, Pope said. I'm proud I was able to contribute to something for the United States. And men like Pope must continue to contribute, said our own Thomas Althaus, medical director at the St. Cloud VA. It is apparent that we will have problems in the Persian Gulf, Althaus said, but the job of defending freedom is not yet finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willie. Next, I'd like to call on our 6th District Educational Chairwoman, also our Auxiliary Secretary. Terry, would you like to say a few words, please?
Thank you, Tom. In the auxiliary, every month we have something. November is our education month. American Education Week is this week. On Thursday, the auxiliary unit will be presenting the entire staff of District 740 with an apple. Teaching children is a hard and sometimes a very thankless job. But when you look at a beautiful little baby turning into a cute little toddler, then into a very scared elementary student that first day, then into a macho, lippy teenager, and then into a pretty fine high school student. Then they turn around and they're in college or technical school on you. You have to sit back and take pride in what you as parents and our teachers of our district have done and to the community to help the future. because these kids are the future, and I hope our future is very bright. Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Next, I'd like to call on Howard Carson, our county council commander. I think he has an announcement to make.
Thank you, John. First, I'd like to thank all of the ladies and gentlemen that attended the program at school this afternoon and this morning. Announcement we have to make is we have a gentleman from our post that has been endorsed by the Western County Council and by our post for 6th District Commander for this next year, Willie Midler. And after you leave here tonight, when you get home, I would like to think that everybody set up prayer for our young men and women that are over in Persian Gulf having a tough time with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Howard. Even though the campaigning is done, the election is over, before our Honorable Mayor Alan Horn gets out, or his beeper goes off, we'd like to have him come up and say a few words.
Well, thank you, Tom. I just think before I say anything about this this day and this event that I just wanted to ask Tom, I was a little confused. I had heard that in Freeport that the driver's education car is only used one day a week for driver's education, and I was wondering, Tom, why that is. Tom didn't know it's because the other 6 days of the week they use it for sex education. Anyway, this is certainly an important day, not only for the veterans, but I think also for the community. It's been an opportunity for the veterans to share with the students what Veterans Day is and what it means. Certainly it's a day for all of us to remember. We need to remember what the veterans have done for us in the past and those who have given their lives and given much of themselves, in some cases through injuries, to defend our country. Certainly we need to remember the individuals that are in the Persian Gulf, and I think we all share the concerns of what that may mean for our country and for our veterans. I think we also need to remember that now that the campaign season is all over, and some of us can kind of reflect back a little bit on some of the negative things that occurred, that maybe we can all finally realize that, you know, things in the United States really aren't all that bad. That we still don't have hundreds and thousands of people lining up at the borders heading out of the country. They're all lining up to head into the country. And I think sometimes we have to kind of stop and remember that. Sometimes many people tend to get a little too down, I think, on this country. I think also it's really important from a community standpoint that we stop and remember what the veterans and the veterans organizations mean to the community. Certainly all of you as individuals are important to this community, but as an organization, certainly you have had a significant impact on the community. We look at this building and the service that it has provided, and now we have the expansion, which I didn't know was there and I almost drove over. We look at the contribution that the veterans have made to the park system here in Melrose. Something that will be, I think, a living and ongoing testimony to what the veterans mean to Melrose. And if there's one thing that I can do in behalf of the citizens of Melrose, I can thank all of you as an organization and as individuals. Thank you from the citizens of Melrose to what you have done for our community.
Thank you, Sergeant. Next, I'd like to call on our Senator Joe Bertram, probably the best friend our post, club, members, veterans, so forth have ever known because of his chairmanship on Veterans Affairs and Military Committee. His position as chairman. Let's give a warm welcome to Senator Joe Berger.
I don't know if I need that. I don't know if I need that. Usually the media always takes what you say and you get in trouble. Well, first of all, it's good to be here tonight. I think one of the most important parts is that, this is my, as I was telling Doc, my third appearance today, and I had a chance to go in different areas, but I chose to stay within my own geographical area. It's really interesting when you go and speak before a group of young people. Their attention span is much less than ours is. And in order for them to go through an entire program and to be able to get something out of it, you really have to try your best. And of course, I'd be remiss to say that I had a good teacher when I taught. Ernie Bergeron, he was fortunate to be the individual who taught me how to speak. If you got any complaints, don't tell me, tell him. And I remember what he said to me the first day I sat in this class, when he told all of us that the door swings both ways. And I thought to myself, he must really be intelligent because I never knew that. I'm just kidding. But anyway, I was just going to tell you real quickly that, you got to have a little joke today, and before my message, is Ole Swin went on top of the choir, and they were on top of the choir, they were singing, and all of a sudden, Lena fell down. But when Lena fell down, her shoe got hung on the end of the choir, her dress fell up over her head, and she was hanging there. And the priest immediately noticed that, and he said, "If anybody looks, you will lose your eyesight forever." And Swin poked Ole and said, "I can spare one eye." Today, and you people don't have to be preached to. But I do want to tell you that we have a lot of problems ahead. Health care benefits for veterans have been cut. Health care benefits for veterans are going to continue to be cut. VA medical centers' dollars have been eliminated. The POW-MIA issue is almost totally forgotten. There's a day that I hope I can take this bracelet off and anybody else who wears one, that we can bring those individuals home. And if you haven't this book, I hope that your post will buy one. It's called Kiss Those Boys Goodbye, a new book that just came out about the POW-MIA issue. It's hard to believe that in our country today, where we would think that there would be people that would go endlessly to try to find out what really went on and to bring those individuals home. The one incident in the book had to be printed, first of all, in Canada, because the United States wouldn't publish it. Secondly, the lady who was pushing on finding out where her husband was, the closer she got, one night in the middle of the night, somebody put on the gas in her house. And luckily, she woke up to save her and her family. Other individuals, anytime they found anything out, they would either quiet it down, investigate it by the Internal Revenue Service, or brought up some charges against them by the local authorities. And it goes on and on and on. There's an underground network system going on right now about the POW-MIA issue because nobody wants to talk about it. And the individual families, the lady that talked to me just a couple weeks ago, had a very, very deep research done on her husband's whereabouts. The Navy sent her back about 15 pieces of blank paper and asked her to pay $120, saying they found nothing out about her husband's whereabouts. Well, she wrote him a letter and told him what to do with the bill. But the bottom line is that it's really sad, and we are going to be pushing that issue in the state. We're going to be asking for that truth bill to pass in Congress. And I want to tell you something. I think an ink pen cost about 29 cents. I think a tablet costs probably 49 cents or a little bit more. And it's a shame because you're here tonight, but you know how many people will really write? We have a new governor, and nobody knows what he's about. Nobody knows if he's going to be anti-veteran or for the veteran. Nobody knows what our new United States Senator is going to be, either anti-veteran or for veteran. And I think it's only up to you to know one thing. If we don't make some changes and you don't get involved, the issues related to veterans is going to be over. My colleagues laughed. The other day, this is an exact statement one of my colleagues said. He said to me that all the veterans want to do is play pull tabs and drink in their Legions and VFWs. And he said that's all they want to do. What a statement. After a group of individuals who gave endlessly to a number of causes, to community events, to people that were no other way would they been helped. And I could go on and on and on. And yet the veterans, 504,000 of them around the state, they could run this state. And guess what? They're the most silent majority of people that I've ever seen. We were fortunate not too long ago when the veteran homes were taken over to get them back. And we had a heck of a rally. 12,000 veterans came out. Well, I just want you to know that I hope you talk to your commanders. And I hope you talk to your state commanders. Those rallies shouldn't be something of the past. Those rallies should be a symbol of the future. These VA medical centers, I go to them and visit. The health care and the benefit cuts that they're receiving is disgraceful. Every prison has an air conditioner. And you know how long we had to fight to get an air conditioner in St. Cloud VA? When you stop and look at the benefits, it isn't fair. Veterans were promised health care, and last year the bill was changed to take away benefits from individuals who were in Class C. Today, people are being turned away and added to the role of uninsured Minnesotans and uninsured Americans. But I just want to tell you, you are like that individual who stood in the parking lot and he looked at this great big black shiny Cadillac. And the man who owned it came up to that car and he was just getting into it. That little boy said, "Hey, mister, how much did you pay for that car?" And the man looked at the little boy and said, "I didn't pay anything for it. I got it from my brother as a gift." And the little boy started saying, "Boy, I wish." And the man thought what he would say is, "I wish I had a brother like that." But instead he said, "I wish someday to be a brother like that." And the man was so struck that he said to him, "Where do you live?" And he said, "Come on, I'll give you a ride home." And the little boy was sitting in that Cadillac prouder than a peacock, driving home. When he got to his house, he told the man, "Hey, mister, can you just wait for a little bit? I want to go in and get my brother." And he came out carrying his brother who had cerebral palsy. And he said, "See that car? Someday I want to buy a car like that for you, so that both of us can go drive around together." And you are like that brother. Today, the young people, I told them, and what the veterans did, those individuals that served this country, those in the Mideast crisis now, they took that blueprint that we all draft, and you did it, and they didn't tear their blueprint up, because we all have a blueprint of life. We all want to go to high school, get some education, go on to college, get a good job, get married, raise a good family, and enjoy life. But they took their blueprint and they gave it to somebody else to live. They gave their dreams to someone else to carry on. And today we're so fortunate that we have true Americans like you, that we have true Americans like we have today that are in the Mideast, 145-degree temperature. And they're out there waiting, never knowing with the flick of a finger when the first shot will be fired, whether it will be chemical warfare or what, but they're there as true Americans. I know because I just got an individual home. His father is terminally ill with cancer. We got him home from Saudi Arabia. He was at the Cold Spring program today. His name is Delroy Eisenschenk. He's out of Cold Spring. He's been in the United States Army for 10 years. And he said it was incredible to be able to get to that temperature of 145. He said it's nice now. It's only 95 degrees. But these people are fighting. They're involved, and I think we're very, very proud. And I don't come here to give you a sermon. I come here to give you credit. I don't come here to ask anything much, except for there are many of you, your comrades, who are someplace that need your help. And that ink pen, I don't know to this day, I can't believe that some people are scared to write a letter. Scared to turn around and tell their congressman or United States senator what they think. If this last election proved anything, it proved that the people still have the power. I just want you to use it. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Very inspiring. we present our Community Service Award, we'll have a closing reading from our auxiliary chaplain, Dorothy Carsons. Please remain seated.
I was walking down Life's Highway a long time ago. One day I saw a sign that read, Heaven's Grocery Store. As I got a little closer, the door came open wide. And when I came to myself, I was standing inside. I saw a host of angels. They were standing everywhere. One handed me a basket and said, "My child, shop with care." Everything a Christian needed was in the grocery store. And all you couldn't carry, you could come back the next day for more. First, I got some patience. Love was in the same row. Further down was understanding. You need that wherever you go. I got a box or two of wisdom, a bag or two of faith. I just couldn't miss the Holy Spirit, for it was all over the place. I stopped to get some strength and courage to help me run the race. By then my basket was getting full, but I remembered I needed some grace. I didn't forget salvation, for salvation, that was free. So I tried to get enough of that to save both you and me. Then I started up to the counter to pay my grocery bill, for I thought I had everything to do my master's will. As I went up the aisle, I saw prayer, and just had to put that in too. For I knew when I stepped outside, I would surely run into sin. Peace and joy were plentiful. They were on the last shelf. Song and praises were just hanging around, so I helped myself. Then I said to the angel, "Now how much do I owe?" He smiled and said to me, "Just take them wherever you go." Again I smiled at him and said, "How much do I really owe?" He smiled again and said, "My child, Jesus paid your bill a long time ago."
Thank you, Dorothy. It was very inspiring. And next is Ernie Bergeron. As we all know, he is not a man of a few words. That's why we're fortunate to have Ernie to do the community service presentation. Because Ernie always knows what to say. Some of us had Ernie as a teacher of American history in school before he retired. Ernie doesn't seem to age. He just goes on and on and on. I had a little story. The other day, Ernie went for his annual physical to see Dr. Horn. So after taking all the tests and everything else, Dr. Horn told him, "Come back in about 4 hours, we'll have the results." So Ernie came back about 4 hours later. He said, "Well, Doc, how's it looking?" He says, "Ernie, for a man your age," he says, "you have a body of a 40-year-old. Ernie said, "Is that right?" Dr. Horn said, asked him, he says, "How do you do it, Ernie?" Ernie says, "Well," he said, "cut the grass, walk 5 miles a day, have a large garden, exercise regularly, substitute teaching once in a while," he said, "and I keep very active." And Doc said, "Ernie," he said, "do you mind if I ask you a very personal question?" Ernie says, "Go ahead." He says, "How's your sex life?" Ernie responded, "Pretty good." And Dr. Horn said, "What do you mean pretty good?" He says, "Once a month?" "Oh, better than that. Better than that." Dr. Horn looked at him again. "Ernie," he says, "I know you're in good condition." He said, "Once a week?" "Well, better than that. Better than that." "Come on," Dr. Horn says, "I know you're in good condition," but he said, "let's not push it." He says, how often? Oh, Ernie said, almost every day. Ah, come on, he says, I don't believe that. Yeah, he said, almost on Monday, almost on Tuesday, almost on Wednesday. Now I'd like to have Ernie Bergeron come forward and make his presentation. Ernie?
Tell the truth now.
If I were a little shorter and this were a little longer, I wouldn't have to hold it. Is that all right? Okay, fine. The topic is no surprise. Community Service Award. Let's begin. Commander Tom and Betty, Madam President, President Mary, West Stearns County Council Commander Carstens, Chaplain Sieben and Chaplain Carstens. Are we not far enough? Okay, not coming through? Cannot hear? Do I have to hold this dumb thing? All right, here we go. Where was I? Senator Joe, you don't know how proud I am of you. God bless you. Mayor Alan Horn, Freeport Mayor Tom Hennon and wife Betty, VFW Commander Murphy, Auxiliary President Isabel Murphy, officers and members of Post 101 and Auxiliary, guests and friends. I hope I have included all, because I want to talk to you all about someone and something very special tonight. Once again, we have gathered to celebrate and commemorate and appreciate a particularly meaningful day. Our Veterans Day observance and post-dinner have become a valued tradition. For the past 13 years, our dinner party has included the presentation of a Community Service Award to 14 persons deemed outstanding in service to the community. Now, previous honorees alphabetically listed are these: L.H.R. Tom Harvick, Ernie Bergeron, Dorothy and Howard Carstens, Dale Camp, Henry Lexterkamp, Amazing Gracie Flipson, Melvin Burrow, Connie Salzman, Homer Sieben, Alphonse Stephen, Julia Westendorf, Norbert Weiss, and Dr. A.H. Zachman. Now, the membership well knows that the honoree's identity is a kept secret until the hour of presentation. To protect that secret, the selection committee of 5 invent and then tell a cover story, which we call disinformation. It's a new word. Designed to ensure the attendance of certain persons who might otherwise not be here tonight. The committee persons are all equally guilty of the aforesaid falsification, but we feel no regret or compulsion to apologize. Committee rules just don't allow that. We got the honorees here tonight, and that's what counts. And now to the pleasurable business at hand. The 1990 honorees, and there are 2 of them, were led to believe that someone or something else was to be honored tonight. Had they suspected that they were to be honored, they might have been too busy to come. We just couldn't take that chance. We are all familiar with the scriptural story of the Good Samaritan and of the publican. One, for reasons of his or her own, chose to become meaningfully involved in the life and survival of another human being. The other, for reasons of his or her own, chose not to. I ask you to keep this in mind as I proceed. Tonight's award speech will differ greatly from the past 13 presentations. All previous speeches have carefully listed and detailed the specific accomplishments, successes, and services of outstanding community-minded citizens. Not so tonight. Stringent respect for confidentiality has set firm limits on what will be said and what shall not be said. What shall not be said will silently speak with far greater eloquence than any spoken word you will hear tonight. I think we sometimes focus too much attention on the physical doing of a thing and not enough reflection on the being of something. Of course, it's important to applaud the doing of physical, significant tasks that contribute to the general welfare that only a few among us are willing or able to do. We do that. It's not only proper, it's also easier. Easier than what? Easier than searching out the other kinds of tasks, the not so visible tasks, the metaphysical philosophy that prompts and feeds an extraordinary commitment to the service of others. Considering this kind of service, a single award seems hardly adequate. I therefore suggest that the following invisible awards accompany the visible Community Service Award. I'll begin with the Loyal Friends Award. It's given to those who put unmeasured time and energy into building strong friendships. Such persons go out of their way to tell a friend that he or she is special, worthy, and valued. And then there is a Committed Parent Award. This goes to caring, patient parents who, in this case, with 8 young children of their own, willingly accept the responsibility of caring for 4 additional children whose misfortune befalls a relative. The children of these parents eagerly echo this award. These parents learn to know when to push and when to be quiet, when to ask and when to listen. Beyond their own immediate family, they have given countless hours of babysitting to assist 2 parents in difficulty. The inconvenience to themselves is not remembered. There is the Mentorship Award given to persons who nourish personal and spiritual growth in others. Mentors share insights, knowledge, and awareness with the less experienced. Mentors are sponsors, and they accept the responsibilities of sponsorship. These mentors don't take credit for the success of others. They smile and later smile. That is reward in itself. The Simplicity and Appreciation Award. This dual award is given to those who don't buy into materialism, living simply. They try to create peace and harmony. they enjoy a special prosperity of blessings. Monies that could be spent on personal comforts or fashion, this team spends on others. Their phone number is a lifeline to many. Their car, regardless of the hour or the weather, is transport for those in special need. Out of loving concern for your health and well-being, your children have gently urged you to lessen your self-imposed responsibilities to others. Not yet, you say. Not yet. And the children understand. This team seems free of the endless search for earthly happiness. They appreciate what they already have. And then there is the Authenticity Award. It's yours for accepting your own limitation. Yet both of you can be strong, assertive, tender, and vulnerable. You feel the pain of others. This team practices the art of being both love and light to others. They have nothing to prove to themselves or to anyone. Yet, in so many instances, what you see is often less than what you get. The Dedication Award, given to people who care about making the world a better place because they give themselves to a cause. They feel a deep sense of commitment to bringing some type of healing to a needful society. They seek neither fame nor recognition. This team attends and conducts a minimum of 104 evening meetings a year. Every Wednesday, every Saturday. Add to that the number of open meetings, the area meetings, the regional meetings in St. Cloud, Brainerd, and Minneapolis, or wherever. And then there are the unscheduled, any time of day, one-on-one sessions. How long has this been going on? I'm told about 42 years. This team provides direct service out front in the trenches. They persist and hang in there for the long haul. They also share their lives, experience, and wisdom from 53 years of marriage with the soon-to-be-married couples in the marriage preparation course. Your lives earn this team a Quality of Life Award. Your strong faith in a loving God has empowered you to help to make an uncommon difference in the lives of uncounted hundreds. And clearly, the Lord has heard and answered your oft-repeated prayer. God grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to accept the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Al and Lou Lagan. Although your unique and dedicated service is necessarily cloaked in anonymity and confidentiality, we know who you are. We know some of what you are and some of what you do. The American Legion says, with its visible and invisible award, we are proud of you. You are splendid examples and role models. And because you both chose to become meaningfully involved in the life and survival of another, you are a living presence of the Good Samaritan. Your good works somehow touches us all. Sergeant of Arms, will you escort the honorees Lou and Al Lakin to the commander's table? Ladies and gentlemen, Lou and Al Lakin. On behalf of Commander Tom Hand, the officers and membership of Melrose Legion Post 101, I proudly present to you Lou and Al Lakin, the 1990 American Community Service Award.
Thank you very much. I didn't expect anything like that. I know there's something behind this, but I didn't know what it was.
Thank you so much, and I'm sure thank you for supper and all the people around here. This is a surprise to me, so I thank you all, and I sure appreciate this, and thank you again. So.
And thank you for coming. That concludes our ceremony for this evening. And I'd like to have the family come forward to help in this celebration. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is their family, all their sons, daughters, in-laws, and everyone else that were invited here this evening.
Thank you.
I didn't even know what was going on.
Where do you want us to stand? We're going to stand over here.
What? Yeah. I can stand right behind. No, I don't want to be back there.
That's right.
Well, I'll have Gary.
I don't want to do it. Thank you. I'm not old enough. No.
Did you get us all?
One more time.
Smile.
Yeah.
Look at Barry.
What's his?
It always happens when you take pictures again.